Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. It looks like young Mr. Shalom and Uncle Frank have got round the campfire and sorted something out because Ben Whitaker is due to rematch Liam Cameron, and this will be on April the 20th. It will be on a boxer card, though, not a Queensberry card. And you know the story about the first fight. Whitaker was beginning to look like he was being worked over by Cameron. And then there was a clinch, and they both went over the top rope, and Whitaker said he couldn't continue because he was injured, and Cameron said he swallowed it, and a lot of people heaped scorn on Whitaker because he's been very flashy and all that showboating, which I think it just makes me cringe. Ugh. But, you know, some people like it. I don't know why, but they do. But they're going to get it on. They're going to get it on. And I think this is, I don't know, I mean, it's kind of, let's put it this way. If Frank Warren didn't get on as well, or didn't get on as poorly as he does with Ben Shalom, then I do wonder whether he would have offered Liam Cameron a contract. I think he saw this as an opportunity to get one over on Ben. So he thought, I'll sign up Liam and get him back in there with Ben Whitaker. Cameron will beat Whitaker, and then I can laugh in Shalom's face. But I'm rather glad that Liam Cameron did get that Queensberry contract because he deserves it. You know, he's had some very serious issues in his life. He was, I believe, was he alcoholic, or he had some sort of substance misuse? I think it was alcohol actually, rather than illicit drugs. And he actually had a 4-year ban for cocaine. And he said, he explained it by saying, well, there must have been on my hands from notes I was handling because I was selling tickets. Maybe there was a bit of coke on one of the notes. I mean, whether that's true or not, well, I've got no way of knowing. But 4 years for what is a recreational drug, don't know. Could you class that as a performance-enhancing drug? I met some right nutters on cocaine, but yeah, whatever it was. I mean, a 4-year ban in light of what other people have got away with. You know, Tyson Fury, Billy Joe Saunders, I think was one of them. Obviously, Conor Benn, and you know. Anyway, you know the drill. You know about PEDs, or we talk about it enough on this channel. But 4 years did seem a little bit excessive, and now, having come back, he's actually strung together some decent performances. They haven't all been winning ones. In fact, his last 2 fights have been a draw, which was a technical draw against Whitaker in 6 rounds, and then he lost a split decision to Lyndon Arthur. But he did give Arthur something to think about in that fight. Plenty to think about in that 10-rounder. And in fact, he's only had, I think, about 4 fights. 4-5 fights since 2023. There was that gap of 4.5 years when he was banned. And when he lost to Arthur, it looked like Liam Cameron might slip into sort of domestic gatekeeper role. Then they brought him in to fight Ben Whitaker. He is 34 now, Liam Cameron. He's got 23 wins with 10 KOs, 6 defeats, but he's never been stopped, and he's got 1 draw on his record as well. Now, it's interesting, but Cameron actually, at the last Queensberry show, which was, of course, it was the Derek Chisora Otto Wallin fight, he was doing some commentary work. So he seems to be kind of popular within the Queensberry fold, you know, within the Queensberry setup. And that was on TNT Sports. This will be, like I say, this isn't a Queensberry show; it's a boxer show. But if he does beat Whitaker, I mean, that's going to look very, very impressive. That's going to, you know, that's really going to get him a big payday. And you know, because of Warren's very close connections with Turki Al-Sheikh in the Riyadh season, I mean, he is essentially Turkey's right-hand man. Not so much Eddie Hearn, it's Frank Warren. You never know. Cameron could find himself up on a Riyadh card. I mean, what were the chances of that when he was serving his 4-year ban? And even if let's say he loses a split decision on points to to Ben Whitaker, he might still get work. You know, he's a good, tough, honest pro. Now, you could not have two more contrasting fighters than Liam Cameron and Ben Whitaker, because Whitaker is 7 years younger. He's only had 8 fights with 5 KOs. He's got that technical draw on his record, but no defeats. He hasn't beaten anyone of real note. And he's very, very flashy. I was going to say arrogant, but we'll go with flashy. I'll be generous, because sometimes you meet these people out of the ring and they're not arrogant, really. It's just a bit of pantomime villainy. But I do hate all that showboating crap. I can't fucking stand it. But some people, for whatever reason, like it. I'm not one of them. I'm honestly not one of them. But he's got to win this fight. He has got to win this fight. Since being an Olympic silver medalist and turning pro with boxer, he's only had those 8 fights. He's also been plagued by injuries a bit. He's very tall for the weight, 6'3". So he's got that sort of long, languid, sort of Bob Foster demeanour. It's a lot slicker than Foster. Foster hit a lot harder too, a lot harder. Foster hit harder than most light heavyweights in the history of boxing. But yeah, I mean, this is, you could not have two more contrasting characters and fighters and styles. But this, interestingly, I looked on BoxRec before I started the video, and we don't know whether this is going to be a 10-rounder or a 12-rounder. And if it has one of those sort of trinkets on the line, those, you know, international titles or some rubbish like that, it might well be a 12-rounder. I don't think Whitaker wants that, because he was struggling in a 10-rounder. By the time they got to the 6th round and went over the top rope, Whitaker was really flagging badly. And he might say, well, I was, you know, I'm coming off an injury and I was, you know, I just wasn't up for it. Maybe I took him lightly or whatever. You do that now, next time round, you're going to come a cropper, because I cannot imagine Liam Cameron being more up for a fight than this one. He wants Whitaker's scalp, and if he gets it, like I say, he'll be fly me to the moon scenario. But that card at the moment has 4 fights on it, and I'll just quickly mention the others while I'm doing this video. The possible main event is going to be between Lee Cutler, who's 15 wins, 1 defeat, and Sam Eggington, Mr. Excitement, the Arturo Gatti of, I mean, he fights more like Antonio Margarito than he does Arturo Gatti, but he's a hell of an exciting fighter. 35 wins, 9 defeats in many, many fights that could easily be called fights of the year, British fights of the year. So Lee Cutler, to say he's stepping up in opposition, is probably an understatement. Cutler is 29, so he's probably as good as he's going to get. He won a majority decision over Stephen McKenna, who's undefeated. That was in his previous fight. And he's, you know, he hasn't really got many names on his record, though. None that really jump out and hit you in the face. Whereas Eggington's fought a who's who of who. I mean, he's incredible record. Sam Eggington, wildly exciting fighter. Hasn't fought for a while. He's 31 now. He last fought. He didn't fight at all in 2025. He fought at the end, just a journeyman opponent at the end of 2024. And prior to that, in 24, earlier in March of 24, he lost to Abbas Baru for an EBU title fight, and that was a majority decision loss. But if he's got anything left, he will ask very, very serious questions of Lee Cutler. No question about it. So there's that. There's Fraser Clarke coming back against Ebenezer Tete. You may have seen Tete giving Dillian White a better than expected fight. Tete don't look a day under 55. I mean, I look younger than he does, and I'm older than 55. But Fraser, of course, had that horrendous one-round knockout against Fabio Wardley, following on from a draw with Fabio Wardley. Again, you couldn't have two more contrasting results against the same man. But he just got nailed early, and then we all know that Fabio has got a very spiteful streak in him and will chase after you. So that's going to be a comeback fight for Fraser. And Tete did give Dillian White a good row, but didn't win that many rounds and was pulled out by his corner. Then you got Tyler Denny coming back from a defeat to Hamza Shiraz, former EBU champ, and he fights a guy who you may have seen recently called Elvis Ahorga, I think his name is. And this guy only, 2 weeks ago fought Callum Simpson, got knocked out in the 5th round. But he's a very colourful guy. Comes over, he calls himself, I think, a soldier, or he's from Ghana, and he's got all his team dress up in combat fatigues, and he's a very colourful guy, very mouthy. And he gave it a good old go against Simpson, but he was just outgunned. And to be honest with you, he didn't look like a super middle, which Simpson looks like a big super middle. But he's taking on Tyler Denny. Tyler is a middleweight, so maybe the size disparity won't exist for Mr. Ahorga, whatever his name is, Elvis Ahorga. So that's the card so far. Let me know what you think of it. It's taking shape. I imagine it'll be a freebie, free-to-air thing. But the main event, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, Liam Cameron against Ben Whitaker. Unfinished business, to put it mildly. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this. Who do you think is going to win? What are your first impressions? I'm going to hold off from doing a review just yet, but let me know if you've got any comments. And as usual, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button as well, because you're helping out the channel, and it's always appreciated. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you sometime soon. Bye for now.